Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to start doing our canopic jars for our Egyptian unit. First, we are going to start by taking a ball of clay, and you want to rip off a little piece of it because we're going to need that later for what is called the lip of the jar. There's a shoulder and there's a lip, and we gotta save some clay for the lip because we're not doing this on a wheel. So the first thing we're going to do, like we do with all pinch pots, is try to form a ball. But for this, we're going to try and make it taller. So we're going to make it into more of an egg shape than we are going to make it into a ball shape. So we're going to roll it out. We're trying to try and smooth everything. The more smoothing you do at the beginning of your project, the easier it will be later because all of those cracks will be out of it. Then, just like any pinch pot, we're going to shove our thumb into the middle of it, and you want to try and get your thumb down as deep as it can go without actually going through the bottom. And the bottom is actually going to be our skinnier part of our egg that we made. And when you do a pinch pot, it's not a pinching like you would on St. Patrick's Day, it is a squeezing. So you put your thumb all the way down into the clay and you squeeze using the inner part of your hand, like that first knuckle where your thumb and your hand meet. That is where we're doing most of our squeezing so that we can get firm, even pressure. And remember, we always want to keep it about the thickness of our finger. If it's too thin, it's going to become fragile and it'll break too easy, or it'll just fall apart on you, and then we'll have to start all over. So don't squeeze too much, just squeeze enough to get the thickness of your finger in the shape that you want. And you're going to squeeze all the way around to try and get that even thickness. Once you have the thickness that you want it to be, then you're going to start smoothing everything and shaping it and doing the fine detail work. This is where you might need to add a little bit of water to your clay. Not a lot. We're not dipping our clay into the water. We are just smoothing it out with a little bit of water. You can always add more water later, but you can't take it away. It's got to dry out afterwards. All right, so now we have our pot ready to go. We have the shoulder done. It kind of curves in on itself at the top a little bit, but we want to make that lip. So we're going to take a chunk of clay that we've set aside, and we're going to do a coil. Now, coils start by making like that hot dog shape with your hand, and then we roll it out. The smoother it is, the easier it's going to be, so go slow. We're not trying to do this too fast. And whenever you attach two pieces of clay together, you always have to score and slip them. So what you're going to do after you have your coil rolled out, you're going to put it onto the shoulder of the pot, and we are going to measure and get the right size that we need. And we're going to form it, and we want to fix that crack where we start off as a cylinder shape. So now we're going to turn it into a ring. And you're going to fix that crack as best you can. You want to score and slip those two edges together so that those stay together. Anywhere that you attach two pieces of clay will be a weak point if you don't score and slip. After you do that, then we can score and slip the shoulder of the pot and the underside of the ring so that those two pieces will stay together. After you have them joined together and you put a little bit of water or slip in between the two pieces, then you're going to smush it together and try to smooth out that crack that is formed right between the two spots. Now, I like to use a serrated rib so that I can go around the outside of that crack and around that lip and that shoulder and scratch it up and score it really well. And then I can take my regular rib, my regular metal rib, and smooth out everything. Doesn't have to be perfect at this point. We're going to use our fingers and some water to finish smoothing that out. But the more you score and slip, the more you get rid of those cracks, the easier and better your project's going to be because it's going to stay together and it won't potentially fall apart on you. So after you've done all that scoring and all that smoothing out, then you're going to go back in with your fingers and a little bit of water and really fine tune those anywhere that you need to smooth out. This is the point where you want to make sure that everything's smooth and how you want it before we finish up with it. This is not a quick process. I actually have my video in a speed version of it so that you guys can see and get to it more quickly. But after you are done smoothing it out, you will have your finished base of your canopic jar ready to go. And one last thing that I like to do before we finish up is to smooth out the lip by gently tapping it on the table to make that flat shape on the lip. And you also want to gently tap the bottom of the canopic jar on the table so that it will stand up straight and make sure that it is flat and stays there.